Hi, my name is Christi Griffith. I'm the founder of Soli Deo Gloria Music Studio here in Orlando, Florida, and I am also a member of the National Association of Teachers of Singing. My most influential teacher, the late Dr. Shirley Zielinski, who also studied with the late Dr. Richard Miller up in Oberlin at Oberlin Conservatory, would always say, stay in the position of inspiration when you're singing. And what she meant by the position of inspiration was stay in the position of inhalation. So oftentimes when we work with singers, we will work with breathing first. So I get asked, what is singer's breathing? Well, singer's breathing is as simple as expanding your rib cage, isolating your ribs and expanding. So when we inhale and when we're just sitting watching TV on our phones, we are breathing and it's as natural as ever, but we are not breathing deep down into the bottom of our lungs. So for singer's breathing, what we want to do is to expand the ribs and welcome that air all the way to the bottom of our lungs. And what this does is this engages that involuntary muscle below the lung, which is the diaphragm. So when you hear that term diaphragmatic breathing, what that means is you want your lung to sit down on that diaphragm, and then what the diaphragm does is it begins to push the air out of the lungs. So we don't want to worry about our tummy. It's going to go out when we breathe in. It's going to go contract back in when we exhale. What we want to focus on is keeping the ribs expanded. So as you sing, which is simply exhaling on pitch, you want to continue working to expand that rib cage and to stay in the position of inspiration. Now here's the beautiful thing about staying in the position of inspiration is you really are feeling like you're welcoming the air. So as opposed to breathing in and taking a shallow breath and feeling all of that tension here, when I'm expanding my ribs, I'm not feeling anything. It's as if I have thrown a window wide open and the air is coming in the room. However, I'm not hearing it because so much air is being allowed to enter at one time. There's not a tension there. Whereas if I just crack my window a little bit, then you hear this whistling sound as the air is trying to go through your window. When we breathe in with our throat muscles and we hear the air come in, that is not a big breath or a deep breath. That is just a lot of tension and a lot of air trying to get through your vocal folds that are very, very tiny and very narrowly together. When I breathe in with expanding my ribs, my vocal folds widen and that air is welcomed down into my lungs. So here's some things that you can do to practice some good singer's breathing. The first exercise I call square breathing. This is where you inhale for a certain number of counts, let's say 5. You will suspend the breath for 5, just keeping the rib cage out, and then you will exhale for 5. Now you should never feel like you're filling up for that whole amount of count, or like you're getting rid of all of your air in all of those counts. You probably should have some room to be able to inhale a little more, and you should be able to have some air left over at the end of your count. So when we do this exercise, we will expand 2, 3, 4, 5, then suspend the ribs, keep them out, 4, 5, then exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you can increase that number by increments of 1. So you can go 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. The other exercise that I like to do, and I actually practice this while I'm walking, sometimes exercising. It's a little bit difficult to do while running, but at least walking. I practice that inhalation again for 4 counts, and then I exhale for 8 counts, And I increase that increment by 2. So I'll exhale for 8, then the next time I inhale for 4, then exhale for 10, inhale for 4, exhale for 12, and so on. And that will strengthen those intercostal muscles surrounding your rib cage so you are able to stay in the position of inspiration.